Here's a 1995 Detroit Black Journal conversation about bringing equestrian sports to Detroit.
It sounds very ambitious. It sounds almost like an impossible dream, especially when you stop to think that it all centers around equestrian sports.
Well, that is partially true, Daryl, but let's just talk about equestrian sports. Equestrian sports generate over $15 billion a year to the GNP. And if we can capture some of that GNP money here in Detroit, obviously that would go a long way to boost our economy. In fact, we have been granted a license to hold the world, I shouldn't say we've been granted, we have a guarantee that we can achieve the license to hold the World Equestrian Cup in the year 2001, which would be our tricentennial anniversary. And that event could generate over $175 million to the Detroit economy.
So we're talking about something akin to preparing Detroit for a kind of Olympic competition, as it were. But it seems like the clock is ticking, and I guess what we're talking about here is a major development with major components. And let's just take a look at some of those components very briefly.
All right.
And then get back to the point of whether or not equestrian sports are viable for the city of Detroit. We're talking about a development that has as its mainstay the Detroit Equestrian Center, the Detroit Hunt Club, the Detroit Hippotherapy Center, the Detroit Riding Academy, and the Detroit Veterinary Center. All of these housed in this complex on Belle Isle Park.
Correct.
We're essentially talking about the kind of development no one has actually seen around here in the past. In their individual parts, what do they all mean? For instance, Gerald, the Detroit Equestrian Center, what is that and what does it really mean to Detroit?
The Detroit Equestrian Center will be a world-class recreational leisure center that will focus on equine recreation and marine recreation. As Bill stated, there are a lot of monies being generated within the equine industry, and I'm sure you already know that Detroit or Michigan has the largest number of registered boats of any state in the union. So there's a lot of money in the area of marine recreation. The Detroit River proper is has the greatest number of tonnage and is the most busiest waterway in the United States. So there is a number of components there that will actually benefit from equine and also marine. Now keep in mind too that the equine operation in the state of Michigan is very large. We have more horses in Michigan than they have in Kentucky, and oftentimes you think of Kentucky, and we just of course had the Kentucky Derby, but believe me, it's big business here, and for the most part Detroit does not participate in garnering those kind of dollars that we really should be able to do.